This video is about a topic that I talked about in another video, but I haven't posted that video or several others yet where I'm talking about this topic, which is about kids, right? I think that all this talk about spiritualism and just basically living conscious. I think a lot of people are excluded from that simply because they either don't have the time or, in your particular situation at home, especially when you were young and lived at home with your parents or parent, whatever the case may be, you just didn't have that opportunity to learn about spiritualism, the real you, how to calm your mind, and that kind of thing. So I was mentioning before that I think this should be taught in schools, and I've heard several people say that, spiritual teachers and other people that I respect and really respect their opinions. And I heard that, and the first time I heard it was probably, I don't know, maybe like 12 years ago, maybe more. And it was a discussion about transcendental meditation, and they were explaining what it was, and I think it was on the Today Show or something like that. And they were explaining what it was. And the gentleman that was on there, he said, think of meditation as like a cell phone charger. Your cell phone, your battery, it gets down to whatever, 20%, 10%. You have to plug it in, charge it, get some juice in there. So meditation is kind of the same thing. And when he used that analogy, obviously it stuck in my mind, right? And it was a great analogy because everyone has a cell phone and everyone knows what happens when your battery gets low. It's not going to work the same way. If you put it into a low power mode, you don't have access to everything that you usually have on your phone. So meditation is like that, and I see what he's saying, because if I used to have a stressful job, and from time to time, I would go into a break room and just sit there and just try to get myself into the present. I didn't know what I was doing back then because I didn't know about the present moment. I mean, I knew about it, but not like now, right? So I would try to get back there and get myself relaxed. And sure enough, when I would meditate for about maybe even 5 minutes, I would gain lots of energy, and I was able to go back out and carry on with the rest of the day. And when you have energy, you feel like you can do anything, right? You can move mountains. You can get everything done that you need to get done. So I agree with what they were saying. They were not only explaining what transcendental meditation is, they were expressing that it should be possibly in the public school system, in every school system, college, wherever. I mean, this should be a routine thing like gym class, right? Or health class. It should be, or it should be in health class or something along those lines. But we should have the ability to at least know, is everyone going to be interested in it? Probably not. Is everyone going to learn it? Of course not. But there will be a select few that will grasp it and run with it, and it will probably change their life. If you're on this path yourself, or you know someone on this path, you know that once you make strides in calming your mind and knowing who you are and realizing that you have answers within yourself, you're literally a different person. And just to know these basic things is so important. And, I get why we don't do it in schools now. I understand that. There's probably enough curriculum in there now to get straight and things like that. But, as people, we just don't realize or didn't realize the importance of learning something like this. And I know myself years ago, if you told me learn how to meditate, which I tried to tell myself years ago to learn to meditate, it came from within, I ignored it. So it's kind of one of those things that we just shove away because either we don't know enough about it, or we don't believe that it would work, or believe that there would be any benefits. However, we know that that's not true. We know that there are benefits to it. And the earlier you learn, the better. If someone teaches this in a class in elementary school, they may get it, they may not, but then it would come up again in the very next year, and it should be taught until people get it. I'm not saying put a huge focus on this and, have, a fight against people being unconscious and asleep. No. It's just a simple implementation of a program that will help people. And I think that's very important. So meditation should be explained, and and before someone learns meditation, they should know the benefits of meditation. Because a lot of us, and I say that because obviously this was my view on it, so I'm going to give you my two cents on it. If someone would have told me to meditate, again, like I said, this information came from within myself when I was in my early 20s, and this presence just said, just close your eyes, meditate, and focus on your breathing. Do this for 10 or 20 minutes. And I ignored it, because it was very hard for me to sit still. But and again, if someone would have told me that when I was in school, that we're going to teach you meditation, I would have probably, looked the other way. But if someone would have told me, or, look, these are the benefits of meditation, and this is what you're going to learn, and this is what you're going to be able to do, but not the first day. You have to work at this a little bit. And when you tell people they have to work at something, chances are they're going to be interested, because people can be very competitive. And we can use that competitiveness inside of them for their own good, and you get the word into them this way. So, and I think a type of meditation that isn't associated obviously with any religion or anything of that nature, it's just on its own. This is just to calm your mind. And also, along with that, we should also let these kids know that you are not your mind. Like the Eckhart Tolle book, The Power of Now. I think everyone should read that book. And certainly it should be in schools. Everyone should have a copy of it. It's kind of like an instruction manual for a person, and how to calm yourself, and who you really are, right? So meditation, and also letting kids know who they really are. They're this energy presence inside of their body. You're not your mind, as the book says. You're not your mind, you're not your emotions, and you're not your body. You're this invisible presence inside of you, the tingling in your hands and in your feet, and that tingling, in your whole body. You can focus and you can feel it everywhere. and that's the real you. Not that your body, your emotions, and your mind isn't you, it is you, but the essence of you that makes everything work is really this invisible presence. So it's very important for people to know that, and just introducing it and then reintroducing it, every year, 2 years, whatever the case may be, at least someone would have a chance to understand this, and a chance to use it, because it's a tool, obviously, so that you can improve in the other areas of your life, and this will help you in every single area of your life. So I think it's that important that it goes into schools. But that's my opinion. I think it really should happen. I don't know why it isn't. Again, I guess I do know why it isn't, because it's just one of those things, where we're all human, and we do what we think's best at the time. And the way we are evolving, or our minds are evolving, is that more and more and more people are getting into spiritualism, meditation, understanding who they really are, and it's a wonderful thing. It's not a wonderful thing to be imprisoned by time, which that's what will happen to people. That's what will happen to us if we don't do these things. And to be imprisoned by time is not a good situation for people. It is a situation that a lot of people find themselves in, but they really don't know what it is, or they don't even know they're in it, because they're asleep. And what I mean by asleep, because when I hear that too, I thought it was a little cruel, maybe not cruel, but a little rough to say, hey, you're asleep. You take offense to that if someone tells you that right in front of you about yourself. So what that is the best way I can explain it is that when you're thinking about what you had for breakfast, or what you did in the morning, or what you did last night, and then you get off that train of thought, and then you're daydreaming about something because you really don't want to feel an emotion, or you really don't want to be at work in that moment, or in a class that you're in. You're just trying to get away, so you're picturing yourself, maybe on a beach somewhere, running or doing whatever, right? So now you're daydreaming when you just came out of a state of remembering what you had for breakfast, or a movie that you saw the prior night. And then into the daydreaming, and then after that you're going to be thinking, okay, what am I going to do when I get out of class, or what am I going to do when I get out of work tonight? I can do this, I can do that, I can call this one, I can do that. And then again, you're in these states of dreaming, right? So technically you're asleep, because you're not in the now, you're not present, you're not awake, you're dreaming of all these different things. And I think even telling someone that bit of information will awaken someone just a little bit, because you don't have to be an enlightened master, or a master of Buddhism to understand what's going on around you and to improve your life. You just have to wake up a little bit, and then your mind will do the rest for you. It will kind of take you down a path, and you'll, as long as you're mindful of this, and you're not daydreaming, your mind will take over. And the more you practice meditations and understanding who you are, asking yourself for answers, then you will progress on that path. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine too. Either way, whatever. But at least we will have the option to do that. And so now, say someone learned about this in high school or middle school, whatever the case may be, or college, okay? They learned about this and they were not interested. But now they are in their late 30s and they find themselves in a situation where they're not truly happy, or they have this this hole in their soul or hole in their heart. However people explain those kinds of things, or this emptiness that you're not complete. Maybe you don't like your living situation, your spouse, maybe you don't like your job, whatever the case may be, and you're looking for something else. So instead of getting yourself in trouble or in debt or whatever the case may be, so you can feel better just for a few minutes, you can do this. You can practice meditation and getting to know yourself, the real you inside. And that will take you down a different road, so you don't have to go out and buy this or look for things that you shouldn't be doing, or things that you shouldn't be doing will probably find you because you're looking for something else. So I think that's why it's so important to teach this in schools to children and adults everywhere. I think everyone should know this information, and everyone will know this information. It's just a matter of time. So one person that does this, they tell their friend about it, or their spouse, or their child, and if that person wishes to continue a path, then they start the enlightenment process. And it's a wonderful thing, because now you're not going out to buy a piece of jewelry or a new car, or you're probably still going to do those things, obviously, but you're not going to do it just to make yourself happy for a week, right? You're going to be mindful of what you're doing, and you're probably really going to be more interested in improving yourself, because again, when you work on yourself with these types of tools, everything else in your life will also improve. So very important that we are mindful of that, and and again, not everyone will do this. Right? Not everyone will do it. Eventually everyone will, because it probably will be mainstream, and in my opinion it should be very soon, because there's a lot of suffering going on. I have suffered in my life, and I'm not talking about the kind of physical suffering in my case, but more suffering where you want to go places, or you want particular things, and that the more you want to go places, and you want things, or you want a specific person, and it's just not in the cards for you to do that or have that at this time. That's where the suffering comes in, and it's avoidable. And even though when you start a path like this, the suffering doesn't go away instantaneously, but it gets your mind off things and you're improving yourself at the same time. So it's a win-win for everyone. And I understand a lot of large companies are now getting their people some way or some form into doing this kind of thing too, because they know it will increase productivity. And it does. It just it makes you, let's say it makes you into a complete human being, right? Where before doing this, maybe you were, you're not complete. Not only, metaphorically speaking, you feel incomplete, but really you're incomplete if you're not using all of your mind, So very important, that we do that. And if you have anything that you'd like to share with me about this topic, I would love to hear it. I'm doing this because I want to interact with like-minded people. I don't have too many people around me, nor do I have the capability right now in my life to go out and look for like-minded people. So I'm doing this, and if you do have some interesting stories about the forced spiritual awakenings, or any kind of a spiritual awakening, or anything that's, you know, going to improve your life by sharing it, or having me and others learn from you, that would be a wonderful thing. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll get more content on here that is more directly related to forced spiritual awakenings. And I'd like to do that by hearing other people's stories and what they have gone through. So again, thanks for watching, and I wish you the best on your spiritual